Welcome back to another edition of Animal General with me, your host, Dr. Mike Hutchinson. Thank you for tuning in. This time I'm going to go to your questions again. Remember, if you have questions for me that come up from one of my podcasts, maybe something that you didn't understand, or just a question about your pet, send them in, drmikehutchinson.com, D-R-M-I-K-E, Hutchinson.com. I'll try to get to them on a future episode. So the first one was from Bernice. It says, Dr. Mike, we recently rescued a 9-month-old German Shepard. I wanted to know if you could recommend a pet insurance for him. Well, congratulations, Bernice. Also, we are having a hard time finding toys and chew toys that he doesn't destroy. His favorite toy is balls, but does not like them too hard. We purchased a Kong ball, not the toughest one, and he broke it open. We don't want to give him rawhide and wondered if pig ears, antlers, or pork chews are good to give. Trying to keep him busy when he's in the house, and thank you. Well, Bernice, first of all, as I said, congratulations. And talking about a pet insurance, that's real easy for me. Go to PetInsuranceReview.com. PetInsuranceReview.com. It's a fantastic website that looks at all the insurances, talks about the benefits, and is reviewed by your peers. And I think that's the most important. One of my favorite ones is Pet Plan, but there's many plans. I'd say the top 5 are really good. So PetInsuranceReview.com, and you will find the right insurance for your dog. It all depends what you're looking at. My recommendation with a good pet insurance is for catastrophic coverage. You want it for the emergencies. You don't want it for the vaccines and the heartworm treatments. You really shouldn't have a pet if you can't afford those things. It might not be the right time for you. So get it for the catastrophic coverage. Those things are good. The things that you can't plan on, an accidental hit by a car or horrible, obstruction or got into something or even cancer. Those kinds of things the pet insurance is very good for. And your other question about which ball would be best or which chew toy, I do like the Kong toys because they do have different hardnesses, if you will. So try to find the right one. I also like the dental chew ropes because that kind of flosses their teeth. The dentists like them as well, the veterinary dentists. There are enormous amounts of toys out there. I'm not a big fan of pig ears. I'm not a big fan of the cow hooves. I'm not a big fan of rawhides just because I used to be an ER veterinarian and I removed a whole bunch of those in animals. And a lot of times they smoke them or they flavor them and the pets get diarrhea and will start vomiting from those dyes and flavors that are in them. So I would rather stick with the real bones, and I'm talking about the thigh bone or the marrow bones and maybe the knuckle bone of the hip. But if you're going to do that, there are lots of veterinarians that go on TV and say, don't give bones to your pets ever. It's horrible advice. They can break their teeth. Well, I've been giving bones to my pets since I've been a child, and I grew up, we were giving bones to our pets. I still do. I've had pets. I've been a veterinarian for 32 years. You supervise them. Not every animal is going to do good with a bone. You just have to supervise them. If they just tear that bone apart and they splinter it, throw it away, your dog's probably not a good one for bones. In my house, those bones last a long time, probably too long because we stub our toes on them as we're walking through the house and forget where they are in the dark. But so try that plus the other chew toys. No matter what toy you get for your dog, please supervise them. I'm with you. Keeping a pet busy is a very good thing. Make sure you get some training for that dog. And again, congratulations. Thank you. Another question I received from Keith. It says, Dr. Mike, how do I supplement grains? My cat is overweight and obese. I recently changed his food to Blue Buffalo Dry. Will you also explain why grains? I'm a huge fan of yours, Dr. Mike, and I trust you. Well, thank you, Keith. Well, first of all, we're talking about a cat that's overweight and as you mentioned, obese. I don't recommend grains for cats, and I don't think it's a good idea. I'm not a fan of grain-free diets. I just think that's a marketing ploy. I don't think it's necessary to get a grain-free diet for your dog or your cat. But cats are obligate carnivores. Dogs are omnivores, so dogs can eat some grains and vegetables and as well as protein. Cats need protein. So, and none of even cats and dogs would be out in the field eating barley off of the grass out there. So you don't need to give whole grains to your pet. The legumes are not necessary either. But if they're in your dog food and in the right quantities and the nutrition's correct, I'm okay with that. But to get back to your cat, I don't recommend grains for cats. I'll give you a trick for getting weight off cats. We call it the Catkins diet. Little take off the Atkins diet for people, but it does work. Now remember, they're carnivores, and I'll tell you how I did it. One time my daughter came home from college with a cat that was being shared by the roommates, and it was overweight, and I wanted to get the weight off of it. She came home for the summer. And we used, in this case, Fancy Feast, the classic Fancy Feast, canned diets, the small cans. And for an 8 to 10 pound cat on average, they get about 3/4 of a can twice a day. I add warm water to that each feeding. I feed them twice a day. I add warm water to that so they get plenty of fluid as well. And it's a good way for them to get lots of water. And it makes them feel full so they're not begging all day long. And that will cause them to start losing the weight. It doesn't have a lot of carbohydrates in it. A lot of the dry foods do. Some of the canned foods do too. So we call it the Catkins diet because it's mostly protein. If your cat, and there are cats out there, won't eat canned food very readily or have to have some dry food, this is what I recommend. The same Fancy Feast can, it could be any good quality brand cat food, but I'm looking at those small 3.5 ounce cans. And in this case, I would give a half a can in the morning and a half a can in the evening. For those with big cans of cat food, that would be about 2 tablespoons of canned food morning and night. In the morning only, you give a level 1/4 cup of dry food. So that's a level 1/4 cup of dry in the morning plus 2 tablespoons of wet food. And then at night, no dry food, only the wet food, 2 tablespoons at night. That will help your cat get down to the normal 8 to 10 pounds. Now, if your cat's larger, or it's a tomcat or a Maine Coon, and they're 16 and thin, speak to your veterinarian. They can guide you on the appropriate amount to feed. Another good tip about the Catkins diet or feeding canned food to your cat, get a poultry-only food, one from chicken or turkey. Out in the wild, what do they eat? Cats eat birds and they eat rodents. We don't have good rodent-based diets, yet, but we do have good poultry-based diets. Chicken and turkey would be poultry-based. Maybe duck if you could find it. I haven't seen that, but I know some makers make it. And I haven't seen rabbit in many food cans either. So I would stick with chicken and turkey. It's exactly what I do for my own cats. No grains. Protein, they're carnivores. I hope that helps you. Thank you for your questions. And remember, again, if you have questions for me, I'm making you curious, ask away. drmikehutchinson.com, DRMIKE Hutchinson.com. And thank you for tuning in. Remember, don't just live and let live, but live and help live.